All right, so someone told me that doing no preparation and live coding is a great strategy for giving a talk. It's like, it's easy, so that's what I'm going to do. Some of this will be advanced, some will be non-advanced, beginner, intro. Feel free at any point to put up your hand and ask me a question as I'm going. I'm going to create an app. I'm going to play around with computer properties and show you a few things. So I'm going to use Ember CLI to create an app called, naming is always hard. I'm going to call it, Ember is in my head, that's the wrong thing to call it. DublinJS, nice, thanks. Okay, Ember new DublinJS. So, okay. Insert joke here. Yeah, NPM is pretty great. Gets a bad rap. So I have this cool HR command that does that. Right, this actually shouldn't take this long, right? Am I in the network? Yeah. All right, that'll do. What the hang on, what? Okay. That doesn't look like it works, right? Actually, okay, I'm going to try this again. Yeah.
How do you integrate your Ember CLI with your backend?
Okay, so
Because it's like
right.
box that just generates everything.
So I mean, Ember CLI and the backend don't have any real connection. I mean, Ember CLI creates an app for you. It runs it. It's the build and asset pipeline. Then you now have an Ember application, and you can put things in it. One of those is a backend, right? So you can use things like Ember Model, which we use. If we were building an app today, we'd use Ember Data because it's now in 1.0. So these are, ORMs that will allow you, as Pat showed you, to create a set of objects, relationships between them, an object hierarchy, and for them to talk to a backend, some probably a JSON backend. So it's a mechanism whereby your app can have a conversation with the server and build up context in memory, and your application will then run off that. So this is running, okay. Yeah, I will, thanks. How's that? Yeah? Okay, so this is the boilerplate Ember application running on port 220. I will just open up this application. So I ran the Ember new command, which creates this scaffold for us. This is Atom. I'm running an old version of Atom. So it gives us this structure, and anyone who's worked in Ember will know where things go in this. We have a router here, which has nothing in it. I'm going to create a route called properties, because I'm going to demonstrate computer properties. So this is kind of defines the structure of the application. With this, then I can go and hit the URL properties. Nothing will actually happen because I haven't defined the template yet, which I'll do now. So we have an application template here. Okay, and I will create a template called, what I call it, properties, which is a handlebars template. Okay, so that you see in the background, it's reloading, so I should actually see hello properties here. And this is where I'll start building the application. Sorry, this text. Yeah, thanks. All right, how's that? A template is one thing. It gives a UI to the controller. I'm actually going to create a controller as well, also called properties. And this will import the Ember namespace. And then we will create a controller. Paddy, if any point I make some obvious mistake, just like shout out. How's that? All right. Whoa. Okay, so this is a controller. It's an object. It'll be instantiated. We can put things in it like first name. Let's do Paddy. I could just put a HR and then say hi, first name. So reload that. It should say hi Paddy, which is cool. We can Ember's got bindings, so bindings are cool. I'll just say first name. Whoa, this is hard. Input name equals first name. So with this now we'll have an input and it will, no, that's not right. Input value, sorry. Input value, so Paddy and the first name are now bound, and that's like the first, any of these frameworks do this, and this to this day still feels like magic to me because I remember the old days. So let's say we have first name and we have last name. Okay, and in the controller we'll also have last name. Oh dear. Right. Right, Paddy Smith, not Paddy O'Brien. Okay, so Paddy Smith, and we have hi first name, last name. I keep doing that, capital A. Okay, hi Paddy Smith, and this magically updates, which is great. Now, the canonical version of a computer property is you create a property called FullName, which is a function. Wow. That's either really interesting or really something's, this could go horribly wrong, right? It just dropped dead. So FullName is a function and it's going to return a value. We're going to get first name plus an empty space and this dot get last name. Okay, so that's the value it's going to return, and because it's a computer property in Ember, it needs two keys. If we did it just like this, it would say Paddy Smith, but it wouldn't update. What? Oh, right. Okay, so we still have this, right? So let's go FullName. Okay, so this is a computer property. It doesn't have any keys, so it's going to evaluate once, and that will be it. It'll be cached for the lifetime of the application. So the bottom Paddy Smith here doesn't update. The way that we can get computer properties to update is by giving them the keys that they care about, and in this case, it's first name and it's last name. Okay, so now we have this full name and property which is updating automatically, which is cool. But it's it's quite it's quite long. There's some duplication. All we're doing is concatenating two strings. So there's a second variation of this in Ember, full name. It's em computed, which takes a function, right? No, em computed. It takes a keys. It takes a series of keys, right? First name, last name, and then a function, and that function will return the same as this. Right, so this is full name 2, I guess. Okay, full name 2, and we get the exact same things, just a slightly different version of it. But this is just a function, so we can create another function which actually creates these functions for us. So let's call this guy concat properties. So it'll take two properties, and its job is to actually build one of these functions for us, these computer functions. So it's going to return a computer property. It's basically going to be this thing. Right, and we'll pass it in, I guess, key 1 and key 2, and these will be these things. Key 2, and this will be this.get key 1, this.get key 2. All right, so this guy will return this computed function. So this just builds a function, this returns a function, this will return it, so we can now build these functions. So we can create a FullName tree, which will use concat properties. If I lower that, make it smaller, can you still see that? FullName tree, concat properties, and this guy takes two keys, so it's going to be first name and last name. Okay, so that's obviously, I mean, we had to build this function up here, but we could pull that into a library somewhere and reuse it. We've obviously simplified this massively. So we can now put in FullName tree, and it should do the exact same thing. Okay, so 3 different ways of doing a computer property. So this version becomes very interesting when you start creating really useful things. I mean, this function, all it does is take two keys and gets the value of them and puts a space in the middle. But let's say we were to create something a little nicer. Ember has a number of functions that are useful. It adds to the string prototype, for example, so we can say hi. It's got this templating format, so we can say hi, and it takes this percentage and ampersand, and you can say format and give it a value. So we can go like that, and it will actually resolve to hi Gavin. There's another way of doing that, which is ember string.format, and that takes a template, hi, and then a series of keys, so our values, so it will be Ember.js, Dublin, and DublinJS. So, I mean, that's really cool. How about we create a computer property macro which works in the same way, and actually we can do the first name. It'll be a more generic utility function. So let's create a function called format. And this is going to take a series of things. We're not going to worry about what the arguments are, but it is going to ultimately return a computer property like before. Computed, I guess let's just pass in a function, placeholder function, which will return to do. Okay, so this is just like concat properties above. We'll create a FullName for, which will take format. I mean, the interface to this thing is kind of, we want, you know, something like first name, space, last name. So it's a more generic thing. This is the way we want it to work. Obviously, it does nothing at the moment. It should say to do. So let's update the template to do that. Okay, to do, great, doesn't do anything. So the interface to this, right? So it's going to be, we want to pass in a template and then a series of keys to the property value. So it's going to be something like hi and then first name. Actually, like that. Last name, and it'll possibly take more keys. So we need to do a little bit of manipulation on the arguments that are passed into the function. So the first thing we want to do is to get those arguments and put them into an array. A little pet peeve of mine about JavaScript, you have to do this, but prototype. So so for those not familiar, arguments is a special keyword in JavaScript, and it's whatever's passed into the function is available in arguments. It looks like an array. It isn't quite an array, so you can't do things that you normally can with an array. So to convert it into an array, you need to go array.prototype.slice.call, which is just beautiful. Arguments. Okay. So now we have an array with params in it. We then want to lift out a few of the things. Ultimately, what we want to do is build a computer property that looks something like this. So we want to take the template, which is this part of it, out. And we do that by going params.shift, which takes pops the first item off that array and puts it into template, and then params will be whatever's left. We also want to take a copy of what's remaining. So this will be the keys, first name and last name, and we can do that by going slice 0. So that's take a copy of the remaining. So now we have the template and the keys separated, which is cool. So like just for no particular reason, let's return the template. Just to see if we've actually wired this thing up correctly. Okay, we FullName 4. What? Right. Sorry. Sorry, say that again? Okay. Params, it does indeed, yeah. This should all be outside this computed property, right. So this stuff is coming from JavaScript, right? It's from the function. So we want to take the arguments of this function, not the arguments of this, which is interesting because you actually saw that a little bit into the internals of Ember, that when it calls a computer property, it actually passes in the key, which is interesting. That's why it said FullName 4. But if I save that now, this should hopefully do this correct, right? So it has indeed extracted the template, and hopefully we have the keys here. So now the final thing is for us to actually construct a computer property. So what do we need to do there? We need to actually, these are just keys. We need to actually get the values out of the object so that we can pass it into the format function. So for our params, push keys, right? So if you can see here, normally when we call a computer property, we pass in a series of keys and then a function which resolves the value. So we want to do something similar. So right now we have keys, which I guess are take a copy of the keys, right? So we have keys, which is the first part of the, actually pointing at the screen here, which is the first part of this. So we want to add to that. So it's going to be keys.push, and we want to push the function that actually will resolve the values. So this is going to be the two keys, first name and last name will be the first arguments for the computer function property, and then we'll put on the actual values. So we want to construct an array of values, and system keys.length should be less than or equal to keys.length I++. So we want to iterate over the keys, and we want to actually ask the object for its value. We have the key, we actually want to get the value, and we want to push them onto onto values. Sorry, this should be values, right? So values, push this.get, that's all right. This.get, and it's going to be tis.get. So we're iterating over the keys. We want to get the actual item in the keys array. So really what we're doing is translating the keys into actually values and putting them onto an array. So at this point now we have an array of values which will be someone's name. Okay, so here now we're in the okay, so
this gives us the keys. I'm actually going to consult how we actually do this in production to make sure I'm not getting this wrong. Okay. So we want to return. Oh yeah, sorry. We're putting on a function here, and we want to return format. This is string format, right? So we want to return string dot. It's em.string dot format, and it's going to take the template and then the values we gave it. This is so much easier when you actually test drive this stuff bit by bit. It's a little weird to be doing it without tests. So this is going to put a function on that returns a computed or a value, and what we want to do now is convert that into a computer property, which is this guy. Values, thank you. So I think that's wrong as well. We need to call format template values, okay. Return, no, that is right. And we want to now return a computer property. Okay, we're nearly there. It'll be worth it, I think. em.computed.apply, so it's a computer property. We want to apply it with the keys that we just passed in. Okay, sound right? Beautiful. Okay, so this will be fun. Unexpected token, I++, right? Right, yeah, that's not going to work. I mean, actually seeing errors is useful, right? Because this is part of building stuff. Key index of is not right. Okay, keys.length, keys I. So, let's see, format values. So values, it seems to, right? Format is this thing here, which is emstring.format, right? So, takes a template and takes values. That seems right. This.get, right? So, it is different. So this is actually because we built this for speed. We use kind of, like we short circuit these things. We say get is em.get or whatever. Ember code looks like this quite a bit. So let's just simplify this down, right? Let's use some console logs, right? Okay. Okay, so let's see where we're getting. Okay, so alright, we're getting something we've undefined for some reason, which is weird. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Okay, so that's actually the arguments that are going to be passed into our computer property. Whoops, don't want that. Okay, cool. This dot get keys I. So keys I. It should, yeah. Dot get. Don't think so. Right. No, that's the okay. Prams dot push.
Maybe you should create this closure on the topper function, because inside the function that you just push this connected to the main context. Something. Yeah.
All right.
You're supposed to be calling this.get on the actual
Self.get, right? Okay. This was a lot more fun in my head when I imagined how this is going to go. All right. Okay. Let's work this out, because this is actually really cool. Right, okay, we have we're pushing a function onto keys, right? Prams.push, prams equals that, keys equals that, push function, var values. We're iterating over keys, I++. This.get keys. I mean, all we want to do is get the actual value, right? So what is this? What is this? What is self, right? Yeah, so
Right. Okay. Right, let's do this. Okay. So, this is that guy, this dot get, first name, Paddy, right. This dot get. I put the function into the keys too early. Okay, so self.get, this.get, keys I, a 0. That's not a 0. That guy, right? So that works. So is I wrong? I don't know what's wrong with that. Okay, this.get keys.I clearly works, right? Yeah. Values.push, right? Values, what is values? Values is this guy, right? So, all right, I'll give this another couple of minutes, and if I don't get it, I'll just, I don't know, give up and never do a presentation again. Key of is... Okay, so it's clearly not getting this right. This.keys.key.I. Okay, so it does not like that.
So, is it because you've taken a copy of params and you're pushing the function into the keys and then you're reaching the keys? So you should be pushing the function into params and passing params into...
Pushing the function into params, right?
Params on push, and then the key stuff inside there will work.
Right, yeah. I think you're right. I have a mistake here, but this guy should work. Right. Where do I have call? Right, so if I don't get this working in another minute, I'm just going to continue and pretend that it just works, right? Yeah, I don't think I actually need that, right? Let's figure out why this is not working. Call of what is undefined, right? Call of undefined. Just a getter, so it doesn't like the get. There is no get in there. Params.push. I think this should be okay, let's how about we do this, right? Right? Okay. This is format old, right? This is where format's at now, right? So var format equals function, params equals slice.call arguments. We do that, we do that, we do that. This is going to be em.string.format, right? We need em.get this. em.computed, right? Thank you. From format? Oh, no, sorry. Right. Slice is not defined, right? So slice is this beauty, right? This beauty, right? Okay. All right. Now let's spend the next 20 minutes figuring out what I did wrong. Okay. Yank. Okay, so this is basically what I was trying to do. We must have got something subtly wrong. I'm not quite sure. The upshot of it is we have a function which creates a computer property. It's a factory. And this is kind of cool because now we've reduced this. This is now going kind of useful in lots of different ways, right? So we can say, hello, first name, your surname is this, which has a length of this. So this is actually really useful, and we use this all the time in Intercom. We have maybe 20 of these macros that we use all the time. So this is last name dot length. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, and that's kind of cool, right? Because this stuff is just doing this magic. And the great thing about this is now we can just go like that. And imagine that this format function is in some library somewhere. And now we've reduced the complexity of our controller or our component or object in Ember to this thing here, which is really cool. So this is a example of this is actually the computed library of the collection of computer functions that we use in Intercom. Equal to property, is it a valid email? Is it not equal to something? Add some value to a key, add two properties together, subtract them. This is, we've identified multiple areas in the application where we do something multiple times, and this has allowed us to simplify it greatly. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, there's a thing called Ember CPM, which is a similar collection of these computer properties. It's open source, it's an add-on. I had planned to npm install it and replace the format with that. They have a similar set of computer properties. Format is one of those, which is cool. A lot of good stuff there. And finally, if you're interested in building your own computer properties, I created a video and I think a really cool computer property called Ember changegate, which is computed changegate. And this guy, we use in Ember or in Intercom quite a bit. With a normal computer property, when you make a change, it will fire a value or it'll fire observers. If you have two computer properties and the second computer property trims the first one, so removes the extraneous spaces, even if the second value doesn't change, if you observe it or if you have anything that relies on it, it will still trigger. So computed gate allows you to put a gate on those changes. And we use it for things like in Intercom, when you have a search bar, if you type searching, or start searching, we have a debounce, and we'll go and refresh the user list, and we'll show a new set of search results. If you type in a space, we won't trigger that because we're using changegate to actually filter out the sort of thing, the value changes that we don't care about. So this is Ember computed changegate. There's a video on YouTube which uses TDD to actually implement this computer property, and it's really great. So sorry about the 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed those 50 minutes. I'm very happy to answer any of your questions. Thanks.
Any questions?
I just wanted to touch on something you said in the thing about speed. Was that a speed for programming, or was it a speed for like having these kind of computed things and like declaring them further up? Does that actually do a performance increase?
Right. So I don't actually remember saying the word speed. Like I'm sure I did, but I don't remember the context. But certainly computer properties can help you build really fast things. One of the nice things about one-line computer properties, quite often you would chain them together. So Ember comes with a set of inbuilt macros, right? The not of something, or anding things together, or oring them, or there's something contained in an array or whatever. And these allow you to do these one-liner computer properties. And quite often you will build higher-level computer properties based on those. You'll and things together, or you'll not them, or whatever. So the beautiful thing about computer properties is they're cached. So if the keys don't change, the value, the actual evaluation of that is short-circuited, so you don't actually run that function every time. So having a series of granular one-liner computer properties, depending on what keys change, a few of them will actually need to be reevaluated to produce the higher level value. If you didn't have computer properties and they were just functions and you had some mechanism to tie them together, you'd have to evaluate all of them each time you wanted to get the highest level value. So I don't know, do you remember me saying anything else about speed? That was...
Oh, well, that answers the question.
Okay, great.
And it kind of, it gives you that added benefit if you do it like a macro, that you don't have to worry about checking that you've watched all the things that actually are depending on.
So I mean, I think that's an important thing as well. Like with simplicity comes, you know, it removes opportunities for bugs. The way that we were doing computer properties before, right? There's some duplication. What if I get a key wrong, right? Maybe I don't notice that until there's some weird behavior in the application. It's like I got to hunt down the source of that. So reducing that duplication removes that source of bugs. These are also actually, along with creating good macros, there's a similar effort which is also beneficial, which is reducing your computer properties down into one-liners. And quite often they go hand in hand. And again, that's code simplification. It's easy to write unit tests that test this object to change some properties in it and verify that the computer properties that you care about have actually changed in the right way. And that's a very simple way for you to add nice, clean unit tests. If you're dealing with larger computer properties, you're dealing with, okay, I need to mock things, or I need to, you know, change lots of things, or it's a lot more imprecise than having one-liners.
Hey man, the properties on controller and the computer properties also, they handle HTML or just raw text?
Sorry, the HTML and the controller. So the controller knows nothing about, you know, HTML. It's got pure values. It kind of presents a set of values to the template. The template here, this is HTML. This is handlebars or HTML bars. So this is HTML. Plus, you can also put in these mustaches or components. So it's HTML plus HTML bars. So all of the things that HTML bars supports. So if statements, unless statements, iterating over objects, calling helper functions, or instantiating components, or outlets, which allows you to nest templates together. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
How much does Ember script actually save you, or does it not really at all? Having not used it at all,
So Ember script is a different flavor of a template language, is it?
It's a different flavor of CoffeeScript.
Right. Okay.
But it has like really handy support for various Ember features like computer properties, I believe.
Let's find out.
Oh.
To be honest, I've never used it.
Okay.
Ember.js infused CoffeeScript. I'm already turned off. So I mean, it looks nice. If that's your thing, I would say go for it. I mean, maybe it's great. I mean, obviously, you know, ES5 and ES6 are great, right? There are improvements to the language. We're not quite using them yet because Ember CLI, the version we're on, is a little bit behind the bleeding edge. It enables all these great things like ES6 or whatever, but the performance is slightly slower, and because we've a lot of engineers and we've got a large application, being a little slower in compiling the application is pretty bad for us. So we're, you know, trying to help Ember CLI get faster, and we'll change at that point. So ES6 is great. Ember script possibly great. I don't know. I've no experience with it, so I can't say any more than that.
Yeah, neither do I. That's why I asked the question, Gavin.
All right,
thanks.
it's rubbish. Forget about it.
Any more? So you showed us a format function, which is from now standard in the part of the ECMAScript 6 standard. But there are lots of other stuff like Lambda, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is there any solution, or if not, will there be any solution for support for ECMAScript 6?
So, I mean, that's a kind of a, like, Ember CLI is been adding in ES6 transpilation. So I think if you use the latest Ember CLI, you will get a lot of ES6 as part of it. And it's evolving with, or it was evolving, at least when ES6 was evolving. There's very powerful add-ons and an ecosystem for the build process for Ember CLI, and by default you get a lot of ES6 capabilities. So as I said, we're a little bit behind the curve on Ember CLI. I haven't used it in Anger, but I do know it supports all that. So I mean, I'd suggest downloading the latest Ember CLI, creating a simple app, and trying out ES6 within it. I'm looking forward to using it ourselves because it obviously is a lot more expressive, powerful, and terse.
Thanks.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks very much.
Schönen Abend.